And joining us in the studio, live in the flesh, it is a pleasure to welcome to the Flow Studios, Jessica Braithwaite. Jessica, how are you?
Hi, thanks for having me.
Should I ask you for a weather report first?
Well, people do tend to. My husband in
yeah.
particular, every morning. What's the weather going to be like today, Jessica?
Well, I suppose to those across our broadcast areas in Victoria and New South Wales, they wouldn't be familiar with the fact that on Channel 9, you're one of the weather presenters.
Yeah.
Really going to say weather girl there? That's
No.
I'm not allowed to say that anymore. But one of the weather presenters, and so a lot of our SA audience would be familiar with you. So, kind of connect the dots for us here. How did you go from weather, music? Is it all what you do? How does this all come together?
Yeah, it's funny. It's a kind of almost a double life, isn't it? By day or by evening news, I am the weather presenter at Channel 9, and then I guess, I've always played music as well. Growing up, music's always been a huge part of our family. Not normally in a professional sense, more so in a pass the guitar around the campfire kind of a sense. I really loved that side of that's what music always was to me. And I always wrote songs with my brother, and we would just sort of muck around. But just in the past few years, I've sort of been doing it in a little bit more of a sort of a structured way, releasing music and putting it out there. And I did some, touring back in the day with the, the indie, I had an indie band that I was in, and we had a good time. We played the big day out, and we did some cool things like that. And then, now I'm kind of doing my own solo stuff as Jessica Braithwaite, and people are starting to make the connection. I think some people know me as Jessica Braithwaite, the singer, and some people know me as the weather lady or the weather
you really
presenter,
got to say that too.
the weather girl. And then people are like, oh, wait, that's the same person.
Yeah. So this music that you grew up listening to, what sort of music was it?
So it was my mum's Irish folk music.
Oh, okay.
Love. And my dad's 60s rock and roll. So
good combination.
I know. Everything that I love about music, I think, can be traced to those two things. Like the Irish folk music is all about, like a lot of it is about storytelling. Yeah. And then the rock and roll is about the beat and the hook, the fun hook. Yeah. And those, those two things I kind of combine and put into my music, which is kind of got that bit of a fun pop feel, but also has, a bit of storytelling and reflection in there as well.
Is it about the emotional connectivity? Because with Irish music, it's about that. It's either to make you happy or it's to make you to feel.
Totally, and they do that so well. Like with their more emotional songs. I don't know if there's this old Irish folk song called Maggie, and he says, I wander today through the fields, Maggie, and you can just feel his heart. You're like, it's like, wow. And then of course they've got their up and about, and you're dancing, and you're like, like the real Irish folk.
You cannot help but move. The whole body just starts to move. It's just, and when you're in an Irish pub and it's happening.
Oh my God.
It's just one of those joyful moments. And
totally. We went to Dublin, and we were in the pubs, obviously pre-COVID. Yep. And they bring their instruments in, and they're just jamming in the corner of the bar, and it is so infectious.
Yeah, there's no big stage. There's just a little spot. And I was in a pub in Belfast, Kelly's Bar. And we were at one end enjoying a sociable Guinness or two or six is in the end. And down at the other end, there was the band playing. Oh, and unbeknownst to us, there was a couple of members from the Pogues that joined in. And we found out right at the very end and raced down to see them.
Wow.
And it was just their normal thing. That's what they normally do. Oh. And we all got involved, and it was just a fun, you couldn't help but smile. And they were smiling, and we were smiling, and it was just beautiful music.
Don't you think that's what music is more so? Here sometimes we have this removed thing where the artist is up on the stage, they're sort of separate, they're, the performer, and everyone else is in the crowd. Whereas in that environment, it's like we're all part of this same experience. It's a bit like the campfire with the guitar, it's the same kind of thing.
I was watching a show the other day, and a guy was talking about connecting to his audience. Yeah. And he thought a fun thing to do would be to throw something into the crowd. But as he was standing there on the stage, he realised that it was about 100 feet to the audience because they were on a big stage.
Yeah.
And he thought, I'm never going to throw it that far. Wow. And then he thought, I'll do it. I've got a rush of blood. He ended up nearly decapitating a security guard. So the crazy things that, being up on stage.
Wow.
And that's, I've been to bands in like the big day at those situations, and you're enjoying the music,
Yeah.
but sometimes you like to be this far away from the artist
Yep.
and see them and really connect with them. And in
Yeah.
Kelly's Bar, that's what it was like. And,
Totally.
and I like to have the mix of the both.
Yeah.
And that, you see the artist, and when they're on the screen, you can end up starting to drift around and look around the room. But when you're in the pub, you're right there. You're right there. So which do you prefer, in the pub or on a big stage?
Oh, definitely the pub. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I find if I'm up on a big stage, and this is weird because of my, I'm a TV presenter, and on night I go on air each night, and I'm talking to 100,000 people or however many people are watching, but they're not there.
Yeah.
Like it's just
down
the
the
camera.
camera lens,
yeah. And when I'm on stage in front of real life people, I actually still get quite nervous.
Yeah.
But my environment where I'm most comfortable is more of that feeling like, we're having a jam and we're part of this communal experience. Like I'm from Mount Gambier, so like an example might be in the pub there, or the open mic nights where I might get up and play a song, and then someone else gets up and plays a song, and it feels like more of a fun thing that we're all a part of. I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard because now, my music's doing really well, and so I'm starting to I get these offers for these bigger shows, and obviously I love doing them. But for me, I always try to bring it back to what it's actually about, because otherwise you can get swept up in all the egos.
I'm
and
getting the vibe, Jessica, you miss a bit of that. You like doing that a bit more, and you miss it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one of the reasons why, like when I was in my indie band, so we were called Gemini Downs, and we were starting to get all these big gigs and, playing big festivals and stuff. And then I thought, like, we've gone like months, and I thought, I haven't written a song in months, because I'm spending all my time like doing all these, sending emails and organising festival slots and doing sound plots, for the sound guys to. And I'm like, that's not really what music is to me. Does that make any sense? It's not where the joy is.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
And so now I got to, and same with all this, now as a musician, they're like, oh, you got to get onto TikTok, and you got to do, Instagram, and you got to do all these things. And I'm doing it because I know it's part of the game, but it's not, again,
days,
it's not where the joy is for me. It's, for me, the joy comes from making the music, that creative, collaborative, down to earth side of it. Yeah.
And you've got a song at the moment that's been out for a little while, called Who You Know. And there's a line in there where you sing, it comes down to who you know.
Yeah.
And there's the old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
So what do you know?
Well, I wanted to flip that saying on its head with this song, because, people sort of use it as obviously that line of more of a negative connotation. It's not what you know, it's all who you know.
Yeah.
And then I sort of think about it, especially during, COVID and the tough times that we've been through lately. It actually is the people who we know who make our lives what they are. But that can be a beautiful thing. Like if you think about the people in your life who you're grateful for, I don't think maybe we do that enough.
Yep.
Like I think sometimes, take my husband, for example, like in a day-to-day, I might be like, oh, whatever, you left the dishes in the sink, or, just that day-to-day interactions that you have
As
with
husbands
people.
do.
Yeah.
Because that's not our job.
No. I'll let that one slide. But, how often do you actually stop and think about the people that you're close to that you see every day and you go, gosh, I'm so glad I know you. I'm so glad to have you in my life, So I just wanted to kind of shine a light on that, take that saying and flip it and turn it into a positive thing.
Yeah. Is the last 2 years with everything, has that made it more relevant to you?
I think so. I think because I think the last 2 years have shown us people have kind of realized what's important to them. And sometimes it is, because everyone was so busy, and then when we all got locked down, we kind of got back to basics and started to think about, well, I don't know, I did, what do I really value in life? What's actually important to me? And that's when you think, oh, it's my family.
Yeah, those around us.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think it
things,
is. Yeah. It's like my morning cup of tea,
Black tea?
Yeah, that's right. You know me very well now.
Yeah, black tea's very good. It's very good for you.
Yeah.
All those antioxidants, as they say.
Well, that's a good excuse to drink it.
Well, the song, is this going to be one of many? Are we heading towards an EP or an album? Because you write songs, so I'm assuming there's some sitting there in the cupboard ready to be seeing the light of day.
You would assume correctly. I have a few on the computer. ready to go, and I've got about 6 bouncing around in my head at the moment, ready to be recorded. So yeah, I'm hoping to put out some more music next year as well. But in
Similar
what
styles or
a few different, like some of them are a bit more down the folky indie kind of a vibe.
Okay,
This song's
yeah.
really pop. This song's got a real pop feel to it, and I love doing that. But then I've got some more kind of down tempo ones as well. I don't know. I think I've sort of got. I like to think of it, and maybe it's because I'm the weather girl. I've got all the seasons. You know, I've got the big summer pop hits, and then I've also got some autumny, wintry kind of, you know, for the down moments too. Yeah.
is there any weather influenced songs?
There's yes, there are some, but also more with like the vibe of it as well. Like I like to sort of make playlists that sort of like these songs all have a summer vibe, and because of, you know, how you feel when the sun's shining, and then like more of like the feeling of this is, you know, how you feel when it's winter or when it's autumn, and that sort of more reflective kind of a what's the word when you kind of you sort of take a deep breath and
you're just recalibrating.
Yeah. So it's all there.
All right. Well, your current single, we're going to get to hear that. And that, if you could just introduce it for all our Flow listeners right now, we'll get into that. But I want you to come back because there's another song we need to talk about. So we'll sort this song out first.
Yeah.
So, Jessica, if you could please introduce it for all our Flow listeners.
Yeah. So this is I'm Jessica Braithwaite, and this is my new single, Who You Know.
I've been cheated, I've been shamed, left out in the pouring rain, sent walking home alone at night. I've been down and I've been lost, sick of keeping my fingers crossed. No shades of grey, just black and white. Was I a cold girl? Well, it's a cold world. Hey, it's all who you know. It doesn't matter where you go. It all comes down to who you know. It all comes down to who you know. It's all who you know. We're not laying in a one-man show. It all comes down to who you know. And I know you. I know you. They played games, but I saw through. That's what led me here to you. Mistakes are what we need to see the light. People come and then they go. In the end, it's beautiful. It took so many wrongs to make it right. Was I a cold girl? Well, it's a cold world. Hey, it's all who you know. It doesn't matter where you go. It all comes down to who you know. It all comes down to who you know. It's all who you know. We're not laying in a one-man show. It all comes down to who you know. And I know you. I know you. It's all who you know. It doesn't matter where you go. It all comes down to who you know. Hey, it's all who you know. We're not laying in a one-man show. It all comes down to who you know. And I know it's all who you know. It doesn't matter where you go. It all comes down to who you know. It's all who you know. We're not laying in a one-man show. It all comes down to who you know. And I know you.
And welcome back. We're joined in the studio by Jessica Braithwaite. We've just heard a single, Who You Know, great little song. And so you've written some other songs that we talked a bit about that. But before I just get to that, I want to ask you a couple of other questions. Tell me about the time in South Africa.
Oh, my goodness. You know how we were just talking about the joy of music?
Yep.
This is what brought
This
it
brought
all
the joy
for
back
me.
to you, yeah.
Yeah, 100%, because I'd been doing, as I was saying, doing these big gigs and festival shows and backstage things and all this stuff, around Australia, and I had lost the joy in music. And then, I was working as a TV presenter in Sydney, and I quit my job and I moved to South Africa. My auntie actually is an incredible woman. She moved out to South Africa as a volunteer teacher in the 80s, and it's an amazing story actually. The AIDS crisis hit in the 80s, and she was there, and people started bringing their children to her, and they were saying, I'm going to die. Will you look after my children? Yeah. And she said yes, and she took on these kids.
Wow.
It's incredible, and she stayed, and so she's got now. It's called the Holy Family Care Centre, and it's sort of more of a formalised orphanage that she runs there, and it's got all the sort of, I guess it's official now. Yeah. I guess, but she looks after these kids who would otherwise, I don't want to be too depressing, but they wouldn't be there, and. Anyway, I just sort of sent her a message and said, I love what you're doing, and is there any way I could come and help? And she basically said, when can you get here? So I went along and I took my guitar, and, I helped out in the health clinic there and helped the kids with their reading and writing and that kind of thing. But in the afternoons we would do music, and, when I got out that guitar, and these kids, they hadn't seen the guitar. They hadn't touched. They lined up to touch the strings. Wow. Of the guitar and pull the strings down with their little fingers and hear the sound that a guitar makes when you play it. And sorry, I'm getting emotional, but it just, and like what these kids have been through, to then see the capacity for joy that they still had when we would play music together and sing songs, and we didn't have a heap of instruments, we'd clap our hands and things like that. But it just really brought it back to me of like, gosh, this is what music is. It's about the connection and uplifting and connecting with people's spirits. It doesn't even, we didn't speak the same language, but that didn't matter because it was about the music. And that sort of, to me, I was like, okay, whatever I do with my music from now on, it's got to be about that heart and that joy. I don't care about if you think my music's cool or what radio station it's going to get played on, any of that. I'm just going to do it for the pure joy of it. Yeah. I
get the sense that you were there to help your aunt, but really you were the one that got helped.
100%. Yeah. 100%. I always say that people say, oh, you did such a great thing going to help those kids. And I'm like, mate, they helped me 100%.
And you wouldn't be who you are without that experience either.
Yeah. Yeah. Spot on. Yeah.
An amazing experience, and I can look in your eyes and I can see the emotion, and we should change the topic, otherwise we're gonna need makeup. Yeah. I can see it, but I wanted to know about that, and because I just thought it was very interesting, and I thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah, and I think it's something that there is joy in music, and you get it in surprising places.
Oh my God, that is so true. And like, again, like I've had times where I've been traveling, you're walking down like a dark alleyway or something, and that sounds scary, and this is in Germany in the middle of winter, and then there's a bloke there playing a violin. He might be playing a Christmas song or something, and you go, oh my gosh, my heart. That's those musical moments that really speak to you.
They do it. You mentioned Christmas.
Yeah.
You've got a Christmas song. Great segue into it.
Yeah.
What do you love about Christmas?
Oh, I love Christmas so much. I love the feeling that you get. I love the lights. I love being with my family. I don't love all the stuff, the presents and all, I take it or leave it. It's the feeling. It's, and some of the lyrics that I write about in the song are the legitimate memories that I have, like going to look for a Christmas tree, putting on the carols, singing to Mariah, all of that stuff. Don't tell me you haven't listened to Mariah at Christmas time.
At Flow, we love Christmas music. We love playing. We play a lot of it.
That's great.
That's one of those songs, you got to play it, but it kind of takes away from all the other great Christmas songs, because everyone, as soon as they hear Christmas music and Mariah, they stop listening to anything else. And that's what frustrates me about that song.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's made Mariah very, very wealthy and all that beside the point. But there is so much great Christmas music out there, and I think you got to go past that song.
Yes.
You play it for people because you know they like to hear it. But
Yeah.
there is so much other, and it seems to be now, and I found especially that this last year and this year, that there is more Christmas music. It's like people have realised it's something. Christmas is a time about getting together and celebrating,
Yeah.
and we do it through song.
Yes.
And we're hearing some amazing Christmas songs this year. And as I said, we're playing them on flow. And when I saw yours, I thought, I've got to talk to you about that.
Oh, I love what you just said. I think that's so true. Like, yes, people do need to. Mariah's great, but please look past her, because I'm noticing this through having put out my own Christmas song. I'm getting tagged in a lot of different Christmas playlists and things, and I'm listening to it and I'm going, these songs are amazing. There are so many great. Every year, lots of Australian bands this year have put out Christmas songs, and they're great, and they don't really get a look in because, so it is. I think that would be great, for your listeners. Just have a little bit of a look around, and obviously they're going to hear it on Flow. It's so great that you're playing these songs.
I've played some in the office, and the next thing there's a tap on the door, and the girls are going, "What is that?"
Yeah.
Because and when I tell them, well, actually that's a country artist, or that's a Christian artist, or that's a heavy metal artist, and they're just so blown away that because they didn't think. They couldn't correlate the two.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is the best thing about Christmas music is that you've got a free reign.
Yep.
So, I would love to been a kid and walk into the room with Led Zeppelin and say, do a Christmas song, guys. Because it would have changed the dynamic of Christmas music forever.
Oh my God, that's so true.
If only they could have done that. But anyway, that's another story. So your Christmas song, is this something you're going to do annually? Are we going to see another one next year?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I thought about that. I was in the shower. A lot of my songs come to me in the shower. And I was in the shower the other day, and I had this lyric come to me for another Christmas song. And I was like, oh, maybe I should do that one for next year. But yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't really even plan this one. This one just sort of came to me as well. I just sort of sitting around with my guitar and started writing about how I really love Christmas. I was like, I just wrote a Christmas song.
So which comes first to you, music or the melody? The lyrics or the melody?
It's so funny. They come to me at the same time. I find it hard to separate them, and it's a really hard thing to describe. But sometimes I feel like when I pick up my guitar, it's kind of like the song's already written inside of me.
Yeah.
And then I pick up the guitar and it just comes out. Like it's already there, and it just comes out of my mouth, and I'm like, oh, cool! I just wrote that song. Yeah. And if I sat down and tried to write a song and it wasn't there, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know everyone's different. Some people are much more structured with their songwriting, and they deliberately write some music and then they write a melody, and there's a formula to it. But for me, it's kind of like it's just happened, and if it's there, it comes out.
I've spoken to artists who it's a very formula structured. Yeah. They can sit down at 9 o'clock, and by 10 o'clock they've got a song.
Wow.
That's how structured they are.
Yeah.
Others, one guy I spoke to, he was actually in church.
Yeah,
it was actually a funeral, and he was sitting there, and there was time to pray, and that's when the song came to him.
Right.
And he's like, "How do I get out of here
yes.
to write this song?" So, what's been the weirdest, or what's been the most unusual situation where that has happened to you?
Dreams.
Okay.
Yeah. I write songs in my dreams, and then I wake up, and you know that feeling where you wake up and you've had a dream, and it's almost sort of dissolving, like because you were in the dream, but then you're waking up in your reality, and the dream kind of floats away. And if you don't act on it straight away, you forget what the dream was. Well, I do. And so for me, sometimes I wake up and I've written a song in my sleep, and the melody is there, and I quickly scramble, I grab my phone, I turn on the voice recorder and sing the melody into my phone as quickly as I can before it dissolves. Yeah, so I don't know. Is that weird?
No. Shane Nicholson, you've heard of Shane Nicholson?
Yeah.
He's been a couple of his latest songs. That's how they've happened to him. They've been in dreams, which he's found unusual because it's never happened to him before. Yeah. But of late, he's found that he's getting these songs in his dreams.
Isn't that funny?
And one was just complete, and it was all complete. So it happens in different ways and different people.
It's so cool, isn't it?
In a dream, and I'm told that if it's in a dream, it's a message that we need to learn something from. So I don't know if there's any truth in that or not. But
I'll have to go back and look at the lyrics and see what messages I need to learn.
Maybe there is. What's the plans for Christmas, Jessica? Just with the family, or are you going away? What are you doing?
I'm so excited. Well, I'm hoping, given there's a bit of uncertainty still, but I'm hoping to see my family from Melbourne for the first time in a couple of years. So with a bit of luck, they'll be coming over to visit us here in South Australia. And it's all, for us, it's, the Christmas morning. I've got 2 little kids now.
Yep.
One of them's 3, and he's just this year understanding what Christmas is.
Yep.
Oh, my God, it's so adorable. Like, we decorated the tree the other day, and he was so excited because he got to put the star on top, and it was just seeing his face light up when we do Christmassy things. So basically, I'm so looking forward to reliving that childlike magical wonder of Christmas through my son this year.
Have you got him something special?
No.
Leaving the shopping to the last minute.
I know. I really need to do some Christmas shopping.
I think we can find a Flow stubby holder for you.
I reckon I'll get him something to do with, he's like obsessed with trucks at the moment. So I think like some kind of digger truck related thing will do the trick.
It could work. It would. Well, if I was a kid, that would make me happy. Yeah. All that sort of thing. Jessica, it's been fantastic having you come into our studios. Absolutely a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
All the very best to you and your family for Christmas, and all our friends at 9 and everything as well.
Thank you.
We've got your Christmas song here ready to go. I know the listeners are going to love it. If you could please introduce it for us.
Thank you so much for having me. And this is my new song. I'm Jessica Braithwaite, and my song is called I Still Get Excited for Christmas.
You say I am a grown-up now, but I can't help it when I hear the sound. Yeah, I know, I still get excited for Christmas. Hang the stockings, 'cause it's getting near. I'm all lit up for the best time of year. Yeah, I know, I still get excited for Christmas. Don't tell me that I should grow up. The door, I'm gonna put that bow up. I still get excited for Christmas. I still get excited for the bells ringing all around on Christmas Eve, sharing the spirit with the family. It's so much magic in the air. It reminds me everybody still cares. Oh, we gotta try and maybe then we'll see if all of the grown-ups would just believe. Yeah, we gotta remember it's the 25th of December. Christmas lights make me feel like a child. I'm all wrapped up every time that you smile. Yeah, I know, I still get excited for Christmas. I really don't care if you've been naughty or nice. Won't you come round, put the bubbles on ice? Yeah, I know, I still get excited for Christmas. I still get excited for the bells ringing all around on Christmas Eve, sharing the spirit with the family. It's so much magic in the air. It reminds me everybody still cares. Oh, we gotta try and maybe then we'll see if all of the grown-ups will just believe. Yeah, we gotta remember it's the 25th of December. Pack the car, we'll go for a ride. Find a tree that barely fits inside. Turn the carols up, yeah, turn the carols up. We're singing to Mariah at the top of our lungs. Don't you dare decorate the tree without me. Step away from the tree. I know I still get excited